Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. In today's video, I'll be answering the question of what players will be joining Paris Saint-Germain this summer, going by position to position. First of all, let's start with goalkeeper. After the signing of Matviev Stefanov from Krasnodar, it doesn't look like Paris Saint-Germain will be signing another goalkeeper. Arnaud Tenaz is reportedly even set to stay at Paris Saint-Germain as the third goalkeeper in competition with Gianluigi Donnarumma and Matviev Stefanov. Centre-back position. Obviously, there have been a lot of centre-backs that Paris Saint-Germain have been linked with. At top of the list is obviously Leny, who we're still waiting to make a decision between Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid. Nasser Khalifi just had a meeting with Lille owner in London, but still no bid has been made to Lille, whilst other clubs are trying to make a bid like United and Real Madrid. But Paris Saint-Germain are not just looking for one centre-back, especially with the Lucas Hernandez ACL. Other names on the list are Goncalo Inacio, Ibrahima Konate, Dayut Upamecano, Antonio Silva, and Todibo. Todibo is removed from the list by Luis Enrique, who doesn't really like him because he's not that great on the ball. Antonio Silva is also a bit removed from the list because Paris Saint-Germain don't think he's worth 100 million euros, which is the only price Benfica will sell him for, which is his release clause, obviously. Dayut Upamecano, it will depend on if Vincent Kompany wants to keep him at Bayern München or not. And Goncalo Inacio, his stocks have fallen a bit because we've signed Bernardo and we already have a left-footed centre-back. So the big name, Leny doesn't get signed, or plus Leny is Ibrahima Konate from Liverpool. He is obviously a Parisian. He likes PSG. He likes the project. We've had some discussions with his agent and so on, but nothing concrete for the moment, and we'll see what happens. When it comes to the fullback position, obviously Paris Saint-Germain are not looking for starters with them having Achraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, but they're looking for backup / competition to both of those positions. And the three names that have been linked with us for a while are Kadiouglu from Fenerbahce, Hernandez from AC Milan, and Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously, Kadiouglu can play both as a right back and a left back, and we've been linked with him for over a year now. He's a Campos signing, and I think we should actually make it. Even though Fenerbahce are now going to play in the Champions League and just got Jose Mourinho, maybe it will be a bit hard to get him out of there. The thing is, with Turkish clubs, you don't really have to pay that much, and they will have to accept it because it's a lot of money for them. Next up is obviously Theo Hernandez. I think a lot of it depends on Alphonso Davies, if he stays at Bayern or if he goes to Madrid. If he stays at Bayern, I think Paris Saint-Germain are quite front runners for Theo Hernandez. I haven't seen that much interest from the Premier League. But if Davies leaves Bayern München, maybe Theo Hernandez would want to get that starting confirmed position at Bayern München. He obviously is French, would love to come to Paris Saint-Germain, and has talked fluently about playing with his brother Lucas Hernandez at Paris Saint-Germain. This is one we'll have to wait for. And the last one is Frimpong, obviously can play as a right back and can play as a right winger. Paris Saint-Germain have been interested in the Dutchman for a while, and he has a release clause around 30 million euros. The issue with Frimpong is we have a lot of competition from the Premier League for his signing, and it's a bit unsure if he would like to come to Paris Saint-Germain, knowing that he has Achraf Hakimi ahead of him. Next up, we're going to talk about midfielders, which for me probably is the biggest talking point here apart from attackers. And obviously, there are a lot of names when it comes to the midfield position. We have Xavi Simons, Desiree Doue, Bruno Guimaraes, Joao Neves, Bernardo Silva, Frenkie de Jong, and Veerman. We're going to start with Xavi Simons. Obviously, we'll have to wait after the Euros where he makes a decision whether he wants to come back to Paris Saint-Germain or wants one additional loan. But at the moment, the talks are going well with Luis Enrique in the last meeting they had, and they will have a bunch of meetings after the Euros as well. Desiree Doue, Paris Saint-Germain are really interested in him, but there is a bit of a stumbling block from Luis Campos, who for some reason doesn't want him at Paris Saint-Germain. But Nasser Khalifi has a great relationship with his agent Moussa Sissoko, who's also the agent of Ousmane Dembele and Randal Kolomani, and Desiree Doue could be an option for Paris Saint-Germain this summer. Bruno Guimaraes, PSG have always been interested in him. Luis Enrique loves the player, but Luis Campos doesn't think he's worth around 110 million euros, which is his release clause at Newcastle United. But PSG still interested, something could happen. Next up is Joao Neves, a player that is loved by both Luis Campos and Luis Enrique, and according to reports and my opinion and logic, he's on the first name on the list. Joao Neves is the player that Paris Saint-Germain are pushing the most for, and a report recently from Record Portugal mentioned that Benfica may listen to offers below his 120 million release clause, which is great news for Paris Saint-Germain. Bernardo Silva, according to recent reports, Paris Saint-Germain have cooling off their interest in Bernardo Silva for some reason, but he will always be a main target for Paris Saint-Germain with his 57 million release clause. Next up is Frenkie de Jong. There's always been interest from Paris Saint-Germain ever since 2019 in Frenkie de Jong, especially now Luis Enrique likes the player a lot, and it wouldn't be that hard getting him out of Barca, but at the moment, no concrete talks yet. The last player is Veerman from PSV. Luis Campos has been interested in the Dutchman for a while, and he could be signing for Paris Saint-Germain for not that big of an expensive fee, and there isn't really that much competition for the signing, but he may have a great Euro, so PSG should be very quick. Now let's talk about wingers. Obviously, there are a lot of wingers we're linked with, left wingers and right wingers. Let's start with left wingers. Obviously, the main person is Kvicha Kvratskhelia. He's been the main target for Paris Saint-Germain this summer transfer window, and Paris Saint-Germain are currently doing every single thing they can do to attract him to Paris Saint-Germain. According to multiple reports, Kvicha Kvratskhelia has already agreed terms to join Paris Saint-Germain, and his agent is even out publicizing the PSG bid and the PSG interest, pushing for the move and putting pressure on De Laurentiis. But at the moment, De Laurentiis is extremely firm on his decision that he does not want to sell Kvicha Kvratskhelia for any price at all. But Paris Saint-Germain will do their absolute best to convince De Laurentiis to sell him. And I think this will be a very long transfer saga, but at the end, Paris Saint-Germain will get the job done. If they don't get the job done, there are two players obviously in the B list, and that's Rafael Leao, who's not that interested by Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique sees him as an Mbappe, as a small Mbappe. He doesn't press. You gotta compensate the team a bit for him. Obviously, Leao could join Paris Saint-Germain and change a bit of his game, but it won't change that much. And Luis Enrique is not that big of a fan for Leao, even though Luis Campos loves to play and would love to bring him to Paris Saint-Germain. And AC Milan would obviously listen to offers. And the last one from the left wing position is Heung-min Son. There have come some recent report from Inside Acto mentioning that Paris Saint-Germain have been interested in the South Korean for a very long time. And at the moment, him and Spurs are ready to listen to offers. When it comes to the right wing position, we obviously have Ousmane Dembele, who the team love, the fans love, Luis Enrique loves, so we would obviously not get someone better than him like we're doing with Kvicha Kvratskhelia for Barcola. But we do need a backup right winger. Obviously, if we do sign a player like Desiree Doue, he could be a midfielder and a backup right winger. Same goes with Frimpong. But the names that Paris Saint-Germain have been recently linked with is Cherki, Olise, Akhliosh, and Bakayoko. Olise has recently been removed from the list because of his very high price tag from Crystal Palace, whilst Bakayoko, Cherki, and Akhliosh are the three names. Luis Campos and Luis Enrique will have to pick one of the three players with all of their price tag a bit similar. Cherki obviously being the cheapest, then it's Akhliosh, and then it's Bakayoko. And Bakayoko, I could see him having a good Euros, so maybe he goes off the list, and it's between Akhliosh and Cherki for the right wing backup spot. And lastly but not least, for the striker position, well, obviously seeing some conflicting reports about will Paris Saint-Germain sign a striker or not, but there's been way too many reports linking us with strikers, most recently Julian Alvarez from Manchester City. And what do they say? There can't be smoke without a fire. Paris Saint-Germain are definitely interested in upgrading the striker position, with both Goncalo Ramos and Randal Colomwani not being seen as good enough at Paris Saint-Germain. And the four names that have been interested in Paris Saint-Germain are Julian Alvarez, Alexander Isak, Victor Osimhen, and Gyökeres. Gyökeres has been removed from the list because Paris Saint-Germain don't think he's worth the high price tag and release clause by Sporting Lisbon. Osimhen has also fallen off. It doesn't look like Paris Saint-Germain will go after Victor Osimhen, with his price tag being very high, and PSG not that interested in him anymore. And lastly but not least, Alexander Isak, it looks like he won't be on the list because Newcastle are asking for way too much for the Swedish striker. And that comes to Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez could be bought for around 80 to 100 million, which suits Paris Saint-Germain really well. His profile suits Luis Enrique much better than Goncalo Ramos and Randal Colomwani. He could play make, he could score, he can do everything up top. And I think he will be the striker that Paris Saint-Germain signed. And then summarize this video. When it comes to the goalkeeper position, nobody more will be signed. When it comes to the centre-back position, at least two centre-backs will be signed. Most likely Leny, Yoro, and Ibrahima Konate. When it comes to the fullback position, Paris Saint-Germain are mostly looking for a backup right back, but maybe someone that can play both positions. Frimpong, Theo Hernandez, Kadiouglu, it could be any of them. We'll have to wait and see. When it comes to the midfield position, I think Joao Neves is the highly likely player that will be joining Paris Saint-Germain this summer, with Bernardo Silva maybe being another, and obviously Xavi Simons returning. And keep an eye out on Desiree Doue. When it comes to the winger position, I do think that Kvicha Kvratskhelia will be signed, but it will be an extremely long transfer saga. Don't believe too many reports, especially the reactionary reports saying it's not going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. No, this is a long transfer saga. Paris Saint-Germain will do everything to convince De Laurentiis to sell the player, and same goes with Kvicha Kvratskhelia. When it comes to the backup right winger position, as I mentioned, it could be someone like Desiree Doue, who can play as a midfielder and can play as a backup winger, and maybe that's enough for Luis Enrique, or we sign a Cherki or an Akhliosh. I think those are the two names. I don't think Bakayoko will be signed anymore because of his high price tag from PSV. And when it comes to the striker position, maybe some more names will be put in the name list, but at the moment the Julian Alvarez file looks really good. He maybe wants to leave. City would listen to offers outside of the Premier League. Paris Saint-Germain are ready to pay what City are asking for him. That's been it from your boy PSG. Let me know in the comments down below if there are any more questions you have regarding Paris Saint-Germain news, anything. But that's been it from your boy PSG. And as usual, allez, Paris.